Good morning, you guys. Welcome back. What day is it today? Wednesday? I believe it's Wednesday today. Days all run together when you're having so much fun. Anyway, on a couple videos ago that we did, we learned about this service facts. And so we're going to need to use this again. I've got this link posted on Blackboard. It's going to be great if you guys could print this off because it's very beneficial. I like to highlight things as I go, and I like to write little notes. Like, I'm not just doing that for class. That's stuff that I like to do. Helps me stay on track. And so we went through the beginning and we got to about the sequence of operation section. And then I just did a video on how a thermostat works. So in order to do the sequence of operation, it talks about the first and second stages of heating. And so what I want to focus on right now is what happens after the heating cycle ends. And one thing that it talked about is the indoor blower motor will continue to operate after the flames are extinguished and then switch to low heat speed for the fan off period. And so what they're saying is that upon completion of the heating cycle, our thermostat satisfies, the switches are both open. What happens after that? Okay, the sequence of shutdown happens. The gas valves de-energize, the flames go out, the inducer goes through a post-purge, but the big blower in the bottom of our furnace continues to run for a set period of time. And so what this is talking about in this section, indoor blower timing, is we're talking about a control board. And we can adjust that off cycle. We can adjust a lot of things in the field. It's important to know how to do that and why you're doing that. So first off, I want to teach you is what is a dip switch? Because this refers to dip switches, DIP. Delta, India, P is in pterodactyl. So these are dip switches right here. I'm pointing to them. That's a dip switch. And you can do some minor programming with these dip switches. And all it is a little toggle, and you can switch them to an on or off type position. And that will change how something in this control board thinks, how it does its business. And in this service facts book, this is what we're going to learn how, like, when would I switch this? What do these do? And there's more over here. If I look, this is called SW1. Try to zoom in on that for you. It's called SW1. This is SW2. So SW1 is this block of dip switches. There's two in this block. SW2 is this block. So even though there's two switches on each one, this block is labeled SW1, this is labeled SW2. Over here, it's labeled SW3, this block of four switches is labeled SW3, and this one is labeled SW4. And so then these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that you'll see on the left-hand side, is the actual dip switch number. For example, dip switch number 4 is on the SW3 block of dip switches. And we're going to go through those. We have to go through one at a time. So the fan off period is field selectable by dip switches SW2. So that's that block that I just showed you, one of those blocks. SW2, 1 and 2. So SW2 is this. This is SW2, and switches 1 and 2. So 60, 100, 140, or 180. The factory setting is 100 seconds. So what I would do is it's telling me, so all this is telling me is that SW2, so that one block, those two switches, I can have 4 different fan off delay. So when, at the end of the heating cycle, how long does the big blower run before it shuts off. And the reason why that's field selectable is because once it extinguishes all of its heat, you don't want to sit and blow a bunch of cold air into the room. So if the customer is complaining, yeah, the thermostat shuts off and the furnace shuts off, but it continues to run for so long, I wish we could shorten it up because it starts to blow cold air. Or maybe you're finding it isn't running long enough and it's not getting rid of all the heat, and it might be causing overtemp issues. So we're going to refer over to this page, to the wiring diagram. This is a connection diagram, but it shows us our dip switches. So this is SW2. It's showing there's an on off. So if it's flicked over to the left, it would be off, the switch is. If it's flicked over to the right, it's on. And that's how the board recognizes it. So likewise with number 2. To the right is on, to the left is off. So if I want a 100-second, they should both be on. So this is our factory setting. Both dip switches are in the on position. If I want to reduce that to 60 seconds, dip switch 1 would be on and dip switch 2 would be off. And I'll show you what that would look like. So this one is on and this one is off. So that's how I can field select my blower off delay. I'm looking over here. If I wanted to increase it to 140 seconds, this one would be off and this one would be on. Isn't that cool? And that all that's doing, this one block, these 2 switches, all that is doing is it's adjusting the amount of time the blower runs after the furnace finishes its heating sequence. After the heating thermostat is satisfied and the furnace goes through its shutdown sequence, how long is that blower going to run? It's controlled by these 2 dip switches, and I know that because I know how to read my service facts. You would be amazed at how many people work out in the field for years and years and never figure this stuff out. That's why we're doing it here. Now, for cooling, there's also a fan off delay for cooling. It's set by the dip switches on the integrated control furnace. Options for cooling delay are field selectable by dip switches 5 and 6. So it's on a completely different block. So it's 5 and 6. These 2 switches right here. So if I'm looking right now, 5 is on and 6 is off. So 5 is on and 6 is off. It's going to run for 1.5 minutes after cooling cycle is ended. So after our air conditioner is done cooling the house, that cooling thermostat is satisfied, it turns the AC off, but that big blower is going to run and blow the coolness off of the evaporator for a minute and a half, the way it's set. And I could adjust 5 and 6. I could, if they were both off, that blower would shut off instantaneously as soon as the thermostat satisfies. If they were both, if 5 is off, 6 is on, it'll run for 3 minutes. And all it's going to do is just move air throughout the house, even though the cooling is not on. So it's the off delay. Now I'm going to go through more of these dip switches and some of the dip switch settings. You're going to have a worksheet, and it's going to be really helpful if you've watched this first before you try to skip ahead. And I'm going to also go through this UH2 wiring diagram. And there's 2 wiring diagrams. One's a schematic and one's a connection diagram. All right, and we'll stay in touch. Watch for your assignments and your videos, and have a nice day.